When I was in middle school, like many of you, I had a best friend. My best friend and I did just about everything together. We played Halo, the first one. We saw movies, we rode bikes, we chased girls, but our favorite thing to do was skateboard. Skateboarding was just making its comeback, so my best friend and I spent hours of every day practicing, olling up the curb, then back down the curb, rolling around the neighborhood. We never really got good, but we certainly put in the time to get the best that we could. As most of you know, the summers are a hot time here in Arizona, a time when it's just not that fun to be outside unless you find yourself in a pool, and even then it may not be that fun. Can you guess what I was doing my summers in middle school? That's right, skateboarding, either under the sun or under the streetlights in front of my house with my best friend. Now, maybe skateboards aren't your thing. And you and your best friend do something else. You go out to eat, go to the mall, you watch movies, play video games, make movies or music. I would guess that at the very least, you just spend time together, doing nothing, laughing, talking about what's happening in your life. It needs to be said that this story has very little to do with skateboarding and everything to do with one of my best childhood friendships, a friendship that helped shape who I am today. After reflecting back on those times, I realized I learned some great life lessons about friendship, lessons the Bible actually teaches. My hope is that you can take these principles and apply them to your friendships, wherever you are and whatever you do. But before I go into these good friend traits, let me just say that good friends have good friends. That is, if you want to have good friends, the first step is to be yourself a good friend. Well, what is a good friend? A good friend is challenging. Have you ever ridden a horse? Ever watched an old Western movie? This word challenging may be better phrased as spurring, just like the heels of an old cowboy on the side of a horse. We keep each other moving forward. Now, I'm not saying to literally kick your friend or have them kick you. It's just an illustration. So when I say challenging, don't think drama, think cowboys. Back to skating. As we would skate, every couple days, one of us would accomplish something, a higher ollie, a new trick. It probably wasn't much of an accomplishment to most, but it felt like one at the time. At that moment, we had a choice to make. Do we puff out our chest a little more, let our friend know that they're not as good, or do we work tirelessly to help the other along and to teach them what we just learned, challenging them to higher levels, to be better? When I was in the Marines, we had a mantra that was always more acted on more than said. No man left behind. A great example of this is if a member of our platoon fell behind on a long run, we would circle back and encourage the tired Marine. We would let him know that we are not going to leave him behind, that we want to help him get better. And in the process, we got better. The Bible affirms this idea that when we help others, we actually help ourselves. The Bible says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. A friendship that challenges understands that when we challenge each other, we truly care and we want the best possible outcomes for our friends. So we encourage and we sharpen one another because good friends have good friends. We see the potential in each other and we want those potentials to play out fully. Here is another great verse about challenging each other in friendships. Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how we may spur, there's that word, one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. As Christians, we are to consider, that is to actually think about how we encourage one another, and also our commitment to meeting together, to loving one another. That's why our next good friend trait is committed. Thinking back on my days in the Marine Corps, circling back for that tired, hurting Marine, why would we challenge one another? Why would we circle back around for that slow runner? A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. So why would we circle back? Because we love our brother. We love our friends, even when they are hard to love. We show filio love towards our friends. That is brotherly love. The slow runner couldn't offer his friends anything. We knew that, yet we still turned back, often more than once. We become generous in our patience towards one another. We forgive and choose to overlook trespasses because we have chosen to commit to one another. This may not be something you actually say out loud, but it certainly shows through your actions. Now, we aren't perfect. Sometimes we bring our own commitment issues from past relationships into the friendship. Commitment issues usually come from past hurts from other broken relationships. Typically, there are two types of commitment issues. We hang on too tight, or we run. We fear losing the friendship, so we cling on tight. We fear getting too close, so we run away. Obviously, neither of these are healthy and should be addressed in the area of commitment. Understanding healthy boundaries in any committed relationship is the best practice. We hold on not so tight that we suffocate our relationships, but tight enough that we are willing to endure the storms. Here are a couple signs your friendship may have commitment issues. Number one, your friendship takes frequent or regular breaks.
We were on a break!
Or you find yourself afraid to tell the truth or hear the truth from your friend because you think they'll run away. Remember that good friends commit even when it gets hard. Here's what C.S. Lewis, a great writer, had to say about commitment in friendships. The mark of friendship is not that help will be given when the pinch comes. Of course it will. But that, having been given, it makes no difference at all. See, commitment makes an effort to endure. We stand at the starting line of this long race we call friendship, knowing that the race will be long and often difficult. But we run the race anyway. That is friendship with commitment. That is being a good friend. Now, this area of commitment comes with a disclaimer. If you are being abused, verbally, emotionally, or physically, please revoke your commitment. That is not filial love. That is not the best God has for you. So seek healthy friendships with filial love that is given and received. But remember to be patient and committed to one another when the trials come. Each of these first two traits presume that this final trait is present in both of your lives. Without this last trait, your friendships will end quickly, and often in a less than desirable way. Here's the question. Do you trust your friend? Equally important, does your friend trust you? Because a good friend is trustworthy. In case you've never tried it, skateboarding is not easy. Even the seemingly easy tricks require a fair amount of skill and experience. For some, even standing on a skateboard is an invitation for disaster. The thing about skateboarding and getting better at riding this four-wheeled fall machine is you have to be absolutely ready to fail. Over and over again. I remember trying a trick for days, failing on every attempt. I remember taking some pretty embarrassing falls in front of my friend, and he had some pretty nasty falls too. We allowed ourselves to be vulnerable. We showed our imperfection. We were just a couple of insecure teens, so why were we able to do that? I think there's two reasons. One, we trusted each other, and two, we were both working towards a common goal. We were too busy working towards something to be distracted by our own failure. Our attention and effort was outward, towards skateboarding, towards something other than ourselves. We trusted each other not to judge, to have the other's best interests at heart, to know that no matter how bad we fail, that we still have a great friend, that we still have a friend who loves us enough to see us through our hard times and be a truth teller when we need most to hear it. This is where working towards a common goal is so crucial. We may go our separate ways in our jobs and our marriages, but we had a common goal at some point that brought us together, that strengthens us. As Christians, as followers of Christ, we all have a common goal, to glorify God with our lives and show the world the love of Christ. I have another question for you. Are you working towards a common goal with your best friend? Do you have the same values, the same morals? Do you have someone who will tell you the truth and that you trust enough to listen? You've heard this before. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. The Bible is clear that we need to be careful about who we decide is our closest, most dependable influences. Choosing poorly will corrupt our character. When I was skateboarding in 110-degree weather all those years ago, I had no idea what I was doing, both on a skateboard and also in my friendships. I only was doing what I thought was best at that point. Maybe up to this point, you are doing the same, what you think is best. But now that you have heard these traits of a good friend, you know what is best. So let's choose to be better friends. Now, because I had this great friendship doesn't mean all my friendships looked like this. In fact, most of my friends growing up turned out not to be my friends at all. But I can tell you that my friendships now, my closest friends, all have these traits because I decided I would adopt these traits and put them in all of my friendships. That I would take the first step and work hard on these traits in my own life. Then I could begin to expect them from other people. Why? Because good friends have good friends. Here's my final question. What will you do now that you have heard these things? How will you use it to change not only your friendships, but the world around you? My hope is that you reflect on your values and your friendships and shape them to be more like Christ. So that when it comes to your friends, they challenge you to new heights in your faith, new depths in your commitment, and a richer understanding of trust.